there, and welcome to the UkeStuff channel, and welcome to this full UkeGuide review of this instrument. This is the Hricane Solid Acacia Top Laminate Acacia Back and Sides Concert Ukulele. So what we're going to do in this full review, first of all, is we'll look at subjective issues, then we'll take a look at specifications, then I'll summarize the instrument and give it a UkeGuide rating. So let's begin with the subjective issues. First of all, is price. This sells right now for $110 on Amazon, or you can order it directly from Hricane.com. Either one will work. I will mention that this one was sent to me for review purposes, not via Amazon, just shipped to me to review, so just so that that is known in the video. Now, as a value, what is its value like? It's very good. So not only are you getting a decent ukulele at that price, you're also getting a pretty good gig bag. It's not Hricane's best gig bag. I think they actually have some better ones, but nonetheless, it's a decent gig bag. What I don't like about it is it's missing the hanger on the back, it's missing the bumper on the bottom. The padding is okay. Some of the Hricane bags even come with a neck block in there to protect the instrument as you got in the bag. So it's a little bit lower on Hricane's own standard for gig bag, but it's still decent. You get a tuner, you get a neck strap that clips into the sound hole. I don't like that. I would put on strap buttons. If I was going to have anything negative to say about this instrument, is that I'd like to see it come with strap buttons. I mean, why not? And a strap that you just kind of connect. You get some extra strings, a pick, a cleaning cloth, and just a tuner. And those are the things you need to get going. So as we talk about value, it's a very, very good value. Now, in terms of build quality, we have sort of two things going on. On the outside, it's really well put together. There are no visible flaws. The gloss is really well done, and there's no pooling of the gloss. It's really well put together. Great arched back. So, really no complaints on the outside, the exterior of it all. Now, on the inside, it's not as perfect. That's okay. You'll never see it. You're probably never going to put a small camera into an ukulele. But that's one of the things I do in these reviews. So let's go take a look at the inside of it. All right, let's take a look inside the Hricane Solid Top Acacia Concert Ukulele. Okay, as we go in, you can see some glue stains on the inside. Again, you might not see this ever looking into it yourself, but when you put a camera down, you can see these things. Looking at the back, you can see a nicely shaped tail block. You can see that that splash of glue, which runs along that main seam there, goes all the way down to there. You can see the notch curving. One of the things I'm confused about as I look at this is the stop sign shaped brace there holding the two halves of the Acacia Solid Top together. Then you have the bridge plate, and you can see the screws popping through. The screws are hidden by a strip of wood on the bridge, which is a nice touch. And then you can see a rather large piece of wood that also acts as a brace right there too. Then you can see the horizontal brace, kind of an interesting shape to that, and a similar matching one there. And then you really can't see it, but there's another piece that goes around the sound hole. You can see it right at the top of the screen there, that supports the entire sound hole. So when you look at the sound hole, it actually sort of looks like it's not a piece of solid acacia, but it is. So that it does have a layer look because it has another layer of support added there. And that's a quick look at the lower bout. You can see the laminate material there and on the bottom, but also you can see the wood grain of the actual top soundboard. All right, let's go to the upper bout. Okay, looking at the upper bout here, there's the notch curving, there's the side, there's the soundboard. You can see the difference in color and texture of the solid wood soundboard. There's the neck block, as well as that little piece of extra wood there that supports the neck. And then another look, a little bit of extra glue mess over there on the side. And then on the bottom there, that line on the bottom is where the two halves are connected together. All right, and that's our quick look at the Hricane Solid Acacia Top Concert Ukulele, the HSHX UK
23.
All right, so we're back. So as you can see, some really interesting heavy bracing on the top. I think they really wanted to make sure that that solid acacia top was supported well enough. Fair enough, but I think there are some other ways to do that. So maybe that's a little heavy, but we'll just let that go for now. There's also some glue mess, but other than that, it's a pretty traditional build. So kind of what you'd expect on the inside. Remember that in some ways it still is a budget ukulele, even though it doesn't look like it. Now let's move to the issue of appearance. I love this. This appeals to me greatly. This is exactly, if I was going to shop at an ukulele store and not know anything about an ukulele, this is the one that my eye would go towards. Of all my ukuleles, if you ask me what is my most attractive ukulele, right now it's my Flight Spirit concert ukulele. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Um, then probably be my Kanalea K1C in terms of appearance. This is right up there with it, and it's a fraction of the price of those. Now, again, those are both, one is solid koa, the other is solid acacia. This is a solid acacia top with a laminate back and sides. But just look at that wood. I'm trying to get it without the glare of the ring light in there. And you can see the back and that arched back. You can see the binding and the purfling there. You can see the headstock and the Hricane logo there. Rear facing tuners. It is a glossy neck, but this really appeals to me. It's beautiful. And in fact, the acacia, as many acacias do, being part of the same family as koa, it kind of shimmers. Now, if you see this advertised as koa, you kind of have to ignore that. Koa is so expensive right now. You are never going to buy a koa ukulele for anywhere probably under the $400 mark, and that's at the very, very basement, probably starting more than that. So if you see koa, but the word acacia is thrown in, it's acacia koa because acacia and koa come from the same family. They are not the same tree. Koa is only grown in Hawaii, and it's sort of a rarity now because it was overused for furniture and things. In the future, we're going to see people selling tables and things from Hawaii to be reclaimed as instruments. I'm sure that's coming at some point. But that all said, there are companies like Kanalea that are trying to save koa forests and things like that. However, so this is acacia. It's not koa, and that's totally okay. Acacia is a beautiful sounding tone wood of its own. To my ear, acacia often is a little darker than koa. Koa often is a little brighter. Acacia often has a little bit of a darker overtone to it, and that's okay. So ultimately, it's still absolutely gorgeous. And check out, they did a great job with the abalone and the purfling around the abalone. It's just really well put together, and you have some of that binding on the rear, and again, a binding on the front. Looks great. I mean, the choices here are just so gorgeous. Again, this really appeals to me. So I think in appearance, it's way up there, and it has a lot of nice appointments. And that wood, of course, is the main attraction, the appearance of that wood. Very, very well done here. One other thing I just wanted to point out in terms of appearance is that they do have a couple screws in there, but they covered it with a little extra piece of wood, and that's a nice touch. That looks really, really nice. I wish more companies did that because those two little screw hole things in there don't always look so good. Now, in terms of availability, you can order this right now at Amazon.com or Hricane.com. Now, in terms of playability, it's a 35 millimeter nut, which is pretty much what you expect. Pretty standard spacing. The neck is approaching being a traditional thick C-shaped. I wish they'd work on that with all the companies and just change that profile a little bit. Action is decent, and there are some sharp fret ends to worry about. Spacing is pretty standard. So in terms of playability, it's kind of what you'd expect, middle of the road for a 35 millimeter nut ukulele. Now in terms of sound quality, I think we're hampered by the strings here. I'll just play a chord here. There's a good amount of sustain. There are some overtones happening, but I don't think that the Aquila Supernalgut strings, which it comes with a label that says Aquila Supernalgut, I don't think that they're helping this instrument. So I literally cannot wait to take this instrument and put different strings on it after this review. I know that that's going to liven it up and bring out some sparkle that isn't there right now. So in terms of the tone where it's at, right now it's darker than it needs to be. The sound isn't as good as it can be. I think with different strings. I might even try something like Worth Browns on this. Volume is okay. It's not punching through yet, so that's why I think fluorocarbons would help there too. The sound is balanced. I mean, no string is popping out over another, but all of the sustain right now is in that mid-range, not even the low side. The sustain is kind of stuck in the mid. So that is one thing that I'd like to see changed on this instrument. One of the things I do on these reviews is I let you see what I'm hearing. So I'm going to play the C chord into the app Tonal Energy Tuner on my iPad. It will show you what happens when I strike the chord and what happens with the sustain. All right, here we go. I have to admit I'm pretty happy with how Tonal Energy Tuner showed that to you. It is missing high end on the sustain completely. So it kind of just, you can see that curve is all in the mids. Now that we've talked about the subjective issues with the ukulele, let's talk about the specifications. It is a concert scale ukulele. It has a 15-inch scale from nut to saddle. It has 18 frets, 14 to the body. It does have side position markers, and the body style is a traditional double bout with a arched back. Very, very nice. The soundboard is solid Acacia, and it is gorgeous, and the laminate is Acacia, and that is also gorgeous. The fretboard is walnut, and it's a dark walnut. Some walnut fretboards have been very light, and the fretboard is not radiused. It's a flat fretboard, which is pretty much what you'd expect. The bridge is also walnut, but it's also very dark stained walnut, which I like a lot, and it is a tie bar bridge. The nut and saddle are made out of bone, and the saddle is not compensated. The finish is gloss, and it's really well done there. The overall length is 24.25 inches, and it weighs 1 pound, 5.5 ounces. I think they have some extra weight in there with extra bracing on the top. There are rear-facing geared tuners with that slotted headstock. The action is 0.5 millimeters at the first fret and 2.5 millimeters at the 12th fret, so really ideal there. The nut width is 35.30 millimeters, which is pretty standard for a 35 millimeter nut. The spacing between strings at the first fret is 8.61 millimeters, and it's 29.41 millimeters G to A at the first fret. So again, very standard. If you're a person with large hands, you probably won't like it, but if you're used to playing 35 millimeter concert ukuleles or soprano ukuleles, you're pretty much used to that. The depth of the neck at the third fret from the top of the strings to the bottom of the neck is 21.08 millimeters, which is your standard C-shaped neck. And yeah, I would like to see a slightly different profile there as well, but it's absolutely playable. Do need to mention that the neck is gloss, so some players will not like the gloss neck and might even sand off the gloss finish on the neck. I don't mind a gloss finish on the neck. Right, now that we've talked about the subjective issues and the specifications, let's summarize the instrument and give it a UkeGuide rating. So this is one of Hricane's ukuleles. Hricane is an online only retailer. You won't find them in stores, and they have been slowly expanding and improving their catalog over time. They do listen to feedback. So I've reviewed a number of Hricane instruments before. I am always stunned by the value that you get. For example, Hricane makes a travel ukulele that looks very similar to Cala's. I've even done a comparison, and I even sold my Cala to hold on to the Hricane. The Hricane is so affordably priced and built so similarly, and it has almost all of the sound of the Cala, that it just wasn't worth holding on to an instrument that costs 3 times as much. So in this case, you're looking at a solid top, beautiful ukulele for $110. And really, for the player, there's nothing wrong with it at all. It's great value. You get a decent kit. And if there are things that I would improve, here are what they are. First of all, I would put on different strings. Fluorocarbon strings, for me, it's Martin M600s, could be Living Waters, could be a D'Addario fluorocarbon, could be a whatever, Oasis string, whatever you want to do. But I would try a fluorocarbon on this because I think it's going to really liven up the sound on it. Second, I would put on strap buttons just from the factory. And third, I would include one of Hricane's better bags. And I would be happy to pay yet another $15 for those just slight changes on the instrument. So at $125, you're still coming in with a package that's way less expensive than a similar ukulele from one of the big brands. Now, all that said, what rating would I give this instrument? Well, I like it. It's beautiful. The sound is totally acceptable, but again, needs different strings. So because of the need to put on different strings at the price point, now again, that's really being nitpicky, because of the lack of strap buttons and having that clip strap, and because of the slight changes in the bag, I would give this a 4 out of 5. Now, if I put on different strings and it really does liven it up like I would think it would be, that'd be instantly a 4.5. If Hricane made those 3 slight changes, this would probably be a 5 out of 5. So, I mean, that's how close this one is to really being a wonderful ukulele. The other thing I would say to Hricane as well is a little less bracing on the inside. I know why you're putting the bracing in there. I get it. But the bracing seems pretty wide to support that Acacia top. I think that could be rethought a little bit, and that might liven up the sound just a touch too. But overall, this is a winner. And finally, just if you are worried about buying a Hricane and really even bothered by the fact that they couldn't spell hurricane correctly, please keep in mind that that is a English spelling of a Chinese name. So it's not really misspelled, it's just spelled differently. Thanks so much for watching the video. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll be back soon with some more Uke stuff for you.